Shalom. Welcome back. How you doing? So glad you came in. Look, you stick with us here at Hebrew Literacy, and our aim, one of our aims, is to be able to walk you through the entire Hebrew Bible and the Aramaic portions as well. And we've started doing some Greek Septuagint stuff for our Tier 4 patrons. So really appreciate you folks. The first two lessons are already on Patreon. If you'd like to become a patron, please head on over to patreon.com/Hebrew Literacy and you can sign up. You can sign up for free at first. There's some free stuff over there. And then I'm trying to make more and more goodies available for patrons at different levels. So I really appreciate you guys. All right, let's open with a quick prayer. Avinu Malkeinu. Ken yirchatzu ki bayom hazeh אנחנו יכולים ללמוד טוב בעיניך. תשלח נא עלינו, אבא, את רוחך, את רוח הקודש שלך, כי אנחנו רוצים לראות את פניך. בי, אדוני, תעזרנה את כל תלמידיי, תעזרנה אותם, תשלח נא להם זיכרונים טובים, ורוחות טובות ממך. וכל הדברים האלה אנחנו נברכך בזכות ישוע המשיח. All right, let's get started. I'm excited. We're in Exodus making tracks. Exodus chapter 30. Can you believe it? Verse 20. We are nearing the end of of chapter 30. That is so cool. All right, we've got the legend behind me as always. In case you don't know what the color coding stuff means, that gives you an idea. I will go ahead and let's cant the verse as our scan, and then we'll come back and we'll do each word. If you're new to Hebrew literacy, this lesson that we're doing is an example of directed Hebrew immersion, which means that it's not just immersion where you're just hearing it, but it's directed. I'm telling you what it means, I'm explaining patterns, and that kind of stuff. If grammar books haven't worked on you, don't worry. This is another approach. All grammar is just a way to identify patterns. And you can identify them with colors, or you can identify them with sounds and other ways. So we're working to improve that always for all the different kinds of learners that are out there, so everyone can experience the joy that it is to read the word in Hebrew. I can't tell you, friends. I remember when I couldn't understand it. I remember when I was just learning how to read. I remember one time when the rabbi called on me and I was much younger, and I told him, "Oh, I can read okay now, right?" He called on me, and then suddenly I just froze up in front of everybody. It was so embarrassing, just reading through simple stuff. So look, this can happen for you too. You can do it. You can get through it, and this is for all ages. And you can let whoever you want can be here. Bring whoever you like. Anyway, I want to encourage you. You can do it. There's so many testimonials. I'm thinking about sharing some of those that people have been sending in, how they're making progress and they're having breakthroughs now, which is what this is about. We want you to have breakthroughs and we want you to really, really experience Lashon HaKodesh. All right, let's scan it. Exodus chapter 30, verse 20. Bevoam el oheil moed. Yirchatzu mayim velo yamutu. So I had to pause there. Sometimes I'm not expecting a certain ta'am. That's the little marks that tell you how to sing. Let's stop at the Adnachta. Bevo am. Bevo am. So the verb, if you're just listening, is beit vav aleph. It's a hollow verb, and the vav is gone. So we're left just with beit and aleph. Okay, normal and expected. Bo is to come or to enter, right? It can also mean like arrive. So this is an infinitive form. And when we have an infinitive and we put a bait in front of it, usually that gives us the idea of when, right? When. I'll translate it hyperliterally, and then we'll translate it with the when, all right? When you have a suffix at the end, the mem here, that is usually telling you who is doing the action, okay? Just to make sense of it in English. But let's be literal. Be, in, vo, entering of them, in entering of them. All right. Now, in English, you're usually going to translate this when they enter, right? Or whenever. When they enter. Okay. When they enter. El Oheil. Aleph, Hey, Lamed. Oheil, which is tent. And I've got it marked. If you're a visual learner, you can tell it's in the construct state. I wonder if there's a sound that I can make for construct state for auditory learners. So we go high, for suffixes. We go low for like affixes to verbs. Yamutu, which is next to me. They will die. Sorry, hold on. I've got this spit guard and I knocked it by accident. Hopefully that didn't make a bad sound. So if anybody has any ideas on how I could modulate my voice, or if it's not worth it, I won't, to make the construct for people who are listening. Maybe it's not necessary. Okay. Mo'id. So we have oheil, construct, mo'id. So the tent of meeting, even though it just looks like it says a tent of meeting, we usually translate this as the tent of meeting because even though there were technically two different tents at one point in time, usually we're talking about the one where the ark is at, right? The one where the testimonies are at, where the menorah is at, where the shulchan, where the lechem hapanim, all the good stuff is at. So it kind of takes on the form of a name in and of itself, right? Where are you going? Tent of meeting. There's no confusion to the ancient Israelis when they hear this. Where you're going? I'm going to the tent, right? So that's why we can say the in English, even though I don't have it marked as gray for the visual learner. So Ohel Mo'id, the tent of meeting, although technically a tent of meeting. So Bevoam, when they enter El onto Ohel Mo'id, the tent of meeting, yirchatzu. So the verb is rachatz, resh, chet, tzadi, and there's two affixes on the verb, the yod at the beginning, which makes it third person, right? Like he or they. And then the at the end, the shurik, that's the vav with the dot in it. That means it's they. Okay. So yirchatzu. They will rachatz. They will wash mayim. Water. So we would have expected a bait here. They will wash with water. Or just so you understand, the proper standard biblical Hebrew syntax, we'd have a bait there. They'll wash. They're not washing the water, right? They're not making water clean or something. Washing with water. So the usual syntax is either to put a bait in front of it, b'mayim, with water, or you put that word that's assisting the verb. In this case, mayim. It's telling us how they're going to wash. You put it in front of the verb, right? So we'd actually want to put it over here. So when you have the word in front of the verb, what this tells us, this is usually the biblical Hebrew way, well, one of the ways to say with the thing, okay? Now, for you grammar junkies, if you've done Greek or something, this would be known as the accusative of means, right? Or if you've done other languages, highly inflected languages, some will call that the instrumental, like the Slavic language they have an instrumental case, right? Tворito не падеж, la русских говорящих. So with water. So yirchatzu, they will wash mayim with water. Usually we'd see mayim yirchatzu, pardon me, or yirchatzu be mayim. Okay. But Moshe didn't want to, so no problem. Velo and lo lamed aleph not yamutu mut from mem vav tav, and the middle vav has disappeared because in ancient times it was a waw, a very weak letter. So this is what we call a hollow verb. Any verb that has a vav or a yod in the middle of it, that's the second root letter. We call those hollow verbs. It's a kind of weak verb. Weak verbs are verbs where part of the root disappears and make it hard to know what the heck it is. So in this case, it's gone. But the Masoretes have nicely added a kibbutz there for us. That's the three, if you're just listening, the three diagonal dots, sound. We will pronounce it as an u because it should have been a shurik, right? We would have expected the vav. So not yamutu, but yamutu. Yamutu. They will die. but velo, and not, they will die. Okay, so that's the etnachta. That's as far as we scanned. Let's go through that one more time. Make sure everybody's with me. Bevo am, when they go, when they enter. El, aleph lamed, unto oheil moed, the tent of moed, a meeting. Yirchatzu mayim, they will wash with water. Velo, and not yamutu, they won't die. It's not a moot point. It's something that could make them die. Okay, I'll scan the rest of the verse now. Let's do it with cancellation. Oh, vegishtam el hamizbei'ach lesharet lehaktir isheh lahadonai. Okay. Oh, that's a conjunction. If you're just listening, it's aleph vav, and the vav is an o sound here. O, or vegish. Actually, that's wrong. I should have colorized that yellow. Not really sure what I was thinking there. Vegisht tam. Let me fix that. Hold on. We'll just leave it outlined with yellow to show our support for the nation of Ukraine, who was unjustifiably invaded. And I'm so glad the United States has provided a lot of money because we promised them security protections when we swindled them out of their nuclear weapons. So it's nice that we haven't had to lose any of our own soldiers. We can just give money and weapons. So anyway, let's pray for peace, that there'll be peace, shalom, between Russia and Ukraine. We don't want more people to die anymore. Okay, so the verb, it's kind of hard to see because there's no clues left. It's another weak verb. Another weak verb. And if you're watching, you can see I drew a noon up in the air. The verb is nagash, nagash. And in the infinitive form, it's geshet, geshet. Even though the vowels have changed, you can't really see that's what's happening here. So nagash means to approach or to draw near, right? Sometimes to touch. So we have another infinitive. So there's a bait. So literally, in gishta, that's negesh, drawing near, approaching of them. So ve gishtam, when they approach. And shout out to Doug Barry here. You asked a question about this the other night, so let's just reinforce this. I'm sure it helped lots of people. You'll notice there's no dagesh in the bait. What's going on? Why is there no dagesh? Because up over here, we've got the aleph vav, or if you're just listening, the o, that ends in a vowel sound. And if you want to be very specific about it, we have what's called a conjunctive accent. If this bores you, to just ignore it. This guy here, it looks like a little bracket if you're just listening, like a square that you use with carpentry tools, right? That's called munach. Munach. And he tells you it's a conjunctive accent. He tells you that the next word is read pretty closely together with it. Very often when words are in construct state, this is one of the ta'amim, one of the accent signs, the sense signs that you'll see. So because he ends in an o and he's read pretty closely to the next word, the begad kifat rule makes the weak dagesh fall away from the bait. So if this had said begishtam, it would have meant the exact same thing as vegishtam. It's just a pronunciation issue. Okay? All right. Continuing. El, aleph lamed, unto. So o vegishtam, or when they approach. El, aleph lamed, unto hamizbei'ach, the mizbeach, the altar. The altar. So, of course, in ancient Hebrew, that would have been hal. Hey, lamed, the. When I say ancient, for any of the Israelis, I know we have some other Israelis watching sometimes. So if you're a Sabra and you grew up just with modern Hebrew, you probably didn't know that hal was the word that meant the. When I say ancient Hebrew, I don't mean biblical Hebrew. In modern Hebrew, that means biblical Hebrew. I mean before the Bible, okay? So hal has survived into Arabic. You probably know al, right? And they still say like al-Malaki, the king, right? So, but for us, the lamed, we didn't like it. So instead, it just assimilated. that means it tries to go into the first letter of the word. That's what that glowing red dot, if you're a visual learner, is. Or I try to pronounce it for the auditory learners, even though we often don't pronounce it in speech. So ham. So here the ham, that's the first mem, mizbeach, the altar, the mizbeach. Hal mizbeach, the altar. Okay. Lesharet, that's to minister. Lehaktil. So the verbal root on this guy, it's kuf or kof, depending how you like to call that. Tet reish. I should have zoomed in. My hand drawing didn't look as good when you zoomed in. It looked pretty good before. Oops. So kof tet reish. And keter is like a smoke of incense, right? It's a kind of like a dense smoke, a smoke of incense. That's a keter. So Qatar, maybe you can think of the nation of Qatar, right? It's like, think of it as, imagine it's like smoking. It smells so good. Ooh, that's a good smelling smoke. Maybe like a nice cigar smoke smell or something. I always love the way cigars smell. Not cigarettes, but cigars I think smell nice. So that's to be smoky or to smoke. This is a hifil. The hifil binyan. Topic indexers, please put a time code here, and up in the right-hand corner, later you will see pop up. There should be a card popping up now if you're watching this later for the binyanim, my video that teaches the basic menorah, uses a menorah, the 7 branches, to teach how the verbal stems work in Hebrew. So the hifil is a causative. So if kata is to smoke, like an incense smoke, then hiktir, here it's lehaktir because infinitive, is to smoke, or to cause to smoke, rather, to cause to smoke. So to cause to smoke, isheh, isheh. There's a dagesh in the shin. Not isha, which means women, a woman rather, but isheh, which means a fire offering. We have another related word, aish, which is fire. So aish is fire. Isheh is a fire offering. So lehaktil, to make smoky, implying like a smell. Isheh, a fire offering. So keter you can have, but I shouldn't have said keter because it's very rarely in that form unless it means like a crown or some special kind of gold. I should have said ketoret. That's the more common ketoret. So you'll see very often the construct phrase ketoret samim, incense spices, right? Or incense smoke, something like that. Because samim are spices. If you do havdalah, you probably are familiar with the blessing over the samim before we smell them. Okay. And then finally, La Adonai, for Hashem. How you guys doing? Isn't Exodus great? Isn't it fun? Hope you're enjoying this. If you're having trouble, you're feeling frustrated, don't worry. Just stick with us. You're doing well if you can learn 1 or 2 things every lesson. Okay? Could be a word, it could be a pattern. Maybe you recognize the infinitive, or you recognize how to see the hefil's got a hey in the front, or it has a yod jammed in before the 3rd root letter. That's what we have happening over there. See, check that out. If you're watching, it's le to ha. That's the hey for the hifil, but it's not always there. And then we have the root letters, kuf, tet, and then jammed in after the 2nd root letter is the yod. That's a signature of the hifil that's there sometimes. Sometimes he'll change, the e will change to a, like a tzere, reish. Okay? So you just get used to seeing the patterns. That's all. That's all. Okay, I'll read through one more time. After the atnachta, you try to translate before I do. O, that's aleph, vav, or vegish tam. So that's from the verb nagash, infinitive, when approaching or drawing near them, of them. So when they approach, el, unto, hamizbei'ach, the mizbeach, the altar, lesharet, to minister, lehaktil, to make incense smoke or to make smoky, isheh, fire offering, Adonai, for Hashem. And it really works either way. It could be 2 Adonai or 4 Adonai, like the smoke going towards the direction If it's going, it depends. It depends on the direction where it's going, right? If the smoke is going towards the Aron Hakodesh, then well, that's where his Shekhinah glory was. So it really is going to Adonai. How'd you guys do? Okay, I better get to the next verse. Let me have a quick drink here. For Brenda, anybody else who's interested in what I'm drinking, I made some homemade Greek yogurt for the first time last night, and that worked out really well. So that was cool. And I've got that in here, and I put some chia seeds in hot water, let them soak for a bit, blended them in with it, and I put 7 strawberries, blended that all together. I think that's everything that's in there. Oh, and some ice cubes put in some. It's very, very nice, very nice. Especially for beating the heat in a tasty way. All right, let's get to our next verse. Verse 21, and we're probably going to stop after this because we have the nice breaker point. Yeah, I was thinking of splitting this into 2 lessons. It's kind of nice when you can just find a verse on a lesson, but I think let's keep them together for now, right? Let's keep them together. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Verse 21, Exodus chapter 30, verse 21. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, okay, good. Let's just scan it. ירחצו ידיהם ורגליהם ולא ימותו, והייתה lahem chok olam lo lizar'o ledoratam. All right, let's break it apart. Again, we have rachatz. If you're just listening, reish, chet, tzadi. I got you covered, those commuters and such. Rachatz is to wash. Rachatz means washed they. But then we have vav conversive up over there in front of it. That vav conversive changes the aspect. So rachatzu is they washed. It's a perfect, right? The vav conversive changes it to be imperfect, an incompleted action. So ve rachatzu means and they shall wash. He could have said, like we had before, yirchatzu, but nope. Moshe used the vav conversive here. And they shall wash yedeihem. So yad is hand. Yadayim are hands. Drop the mem. Yadayim, yedei, hands of ham, of them. So their hands. So verachatzu, and they shall wash yedeihem, the hands of them. Veraglei ham, and regel is foot, right? Foot. Raglayim are feet. Drop the mem. Raglei, feet of hem, them. And regalim means foot festivals, like the 3 foot festivals where we're supposed to go up to Yerushalayim, right? So Pesach, Shavuot coming up. Are you counting the Omer? And then Sukkot. Okay. So the ragleihem, and the feet of them. So hands and feet got to be washed in the laver. I just realized in Ukraine that holiest spot in Kiev, it's called the laver, isn't it? Right. Velo, and not yamutu. They shall die. Okay. Vehaitaha. So this is the verb haya. Hey, yod, hey, haya, which is to be or to exist. Many of you know Hebrew worship songs, so there's the song, of course, Asher haya vehove veyavo. Right? So this is from the song Kadosh, 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 right? Holy, holy, holy. So Asher, who, Haya, who was. Vehove, it's kind of weird, but it's okay. It's a participle. And who is, like, who exists. Yavo, and who, Yavo, he is bo, he is coming, or he is entering. So, Haita, the ta at the end is an older spelling. It's got a hey on it if you're just listening for you shall be, right? Or it can be it shall be. In this case, it's she shall be. Sorry. It shall be. She shall be. So, Haita, she was. But then we have the Vav conversive. Dun, da, da, da. Ve, Haita. And she will be. Or she will be. Yes. Vehaita. And she will be, or and it will be lahem for them. Now we have a construct chain. We have chok olom. Chok olom. So chok is a statute, right? A statute, a kind of command of olom. The ayin vav lamed mem means eternity, a statute of eternity, an eternal command. Okay. So let's check out what we got so far again. Verachatzu, and they shall rachatz, they shall wash yedehem, veraglehem, yedehem, the hands of them, veraglehem, and the regalim or raglaim, the feet of ham of them, velo, and not yamutu, they will die, vehaito, and it shall be lahem for them, chok olom, a statute, a commandment, a principle, a regulation of olom forever. Lo, for him, meaning Aharon, ulezar'o, u and le for zar'. That's from zera, seed of him. Ulezar', and for his seed, meaning his offspring. This is all the priests. Like, you know who you are. One of you listening, I don't know if you wanted out that you're Cohen, but like you are zera of Aharon. The dorotam, 4 generations of them. Why is it an u over here, guys? Why do we have an u? Why is it not ve? Velezaro, velezaro. Because you cannot begin a word with 2 consonants that both have a schwa underneath them in a row. Okay, it can happen in the middle of a word, no problem. If you got 2 letters and they both have schwa, that's where it splits. The syllable splits. The first one is a silent schwa, so no sound. The second one is vocal, so just a little eh. Okay. So we have our bump schwa rule on how to point the vav at the beginning of a word. Now the lamed, he's not a ba, he's not a ma, he's not a pa. So the first part of the rule, the bump does not apply, but he does have a schwa under. So bump schwa applies. So we change the spelling to and le, 4 or 2 zara. It's zera, offspring, literally seed of of him, the seed of Oops, I can't reach there. Le, 4 dorot. Dor is a generation. Dorot are generations of them for their generations. Okay, let's translate after the nachta one more time. Try to translate before I do. Vehaito, from the verb haya. The ta at the end, don't confuse it with you. In this case, it's she or it. And it will be lahem, for them. Chok olom, a statute of forever. Just like Sabbath is an eternal sign, right? You don't change the Sabbath, it's forever. Ki yom hashavat ohi le'olam. For the Sabbath, it is a sign, le'olam, forever. Lo, for him. Ulizaro, and for offspring or seed of him. Ledorot am, for generations of them. Okay. All right, let's read it through one time. Try to translate before I do. Actually, I'm not going to translate, but I'll still do the tones, and then I'll read it one more time normally, and then we'll be finished. Yirchatzu yedehem v'raglehem velo yamutu v'haita lahem chak olom lo ulizaro ledorot am. Right? How'd you do? You do okay? Let's read it again, this time kind of normal. Yirchatzu yedehem v'raglehem velo yamutu v'haita lahem chak olom lo ulizaro ledorot tam. I just realized maybe this is something I want to explain very quickly here. So if you're wondering, why in the world is this chok and not chak? If you're just looking, it's chet, kof, or kuf, and the vowel underneath the chet is a kametz. That's the guy that looks like a capital letter T. Usually it's an A sound, more kind of like an open ah. Okay, why is it o here? Because when this symbol is used in a closed syllable, that means a syllable that ends in a consonant. So chok ends in a consonant. We're not laughing ha ha ha, right? It's closed, chok, and it's unaccented, meaning the accent is elsewhere. Here's the accent sign. If you're looking, it's on olom. Okay, and when you have construct chain, the words are read, or they were read at least in ancient times, as if it was one compound word. So you can only have one accent, just like in English. You might have a house, and you might have a boat, and if you put that together, you might have a houseboat, but you don't have a houseboat. Nobody talks that way. Hey, do you live on a houseboat? Just no, don't do that. So same here. We don't say chak olom. It became chokolam, chokolam. So even though we read the two words more distinctly now, the reasoning for the pronunciation is because of how the Masoretes pronounced it over 1,000 years ago. So chok, not chak, chok olam. If there had been an accent on the chet, then all bets are off. It could be an ah. It could be an ah. Okay. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you tomorrow when we go through our first Kings, our reading in the prophets, first Kings. Shalom, shalom.